Welcome to Unit 7 of MBA 6103 Managing Innovation. This week we'll move into the final phase of the Innovation Strategy Framework and discuss creating value and developing ways to capture the benefits of innovation. If we think about the innovation strategy framework, we look back to the process, the innovation process as a whole, we know that we've already discussed the first phase, which is searching out and finding those innovation or opportunities for innovation within our company. We've selected the particular innovation strategies and those opportunities that we're going to implement and work out within our organization, how we're going to work out the details of new products, new services. We've selected those opportunities that we're going to pursue. Then we move forward with implementation. How do we make it happen? And finally, the last component of the innovation strategy framework is how do we capture the benefit from it? How do we lock in the value to the organization within that particular opportunity, those innovations that we've selected to pursue. So this unit will discuss capturing those benefits and using those tools to bring about further innovations and additional new products and services and benefit to the organization in terms of new core competencies, new ways of doing things, new processes, that type of thing. So how do we capture the benefit will be the focus of this Unit 7. So when we think about innovation and we think about locking in the benefits to the company, to the organization, we've got to first address market positioning. We know that very similar with product positioning. We can think about, do we want to set ourselves up as an innovation leader, or do we want to set ourselves up as an innovation follower? And those are kind of two distinct, different operating models in how we do business. Very much like product leader, product follower, being kind of the first to market, that type of thing. We work the same way in the innovation realm. And so the best way to kind of illustrate this is to think about some practical examples that we currently see in the real world. Great example of innovation and the different innovation strategies in terms of market positioning is the current battle, and really the recent battle over the last few years, between Apple and Samsung, and Apple and Samsung in the cell phone marketplace. As we've discussed before, there's this fierce competition, obviously, amongst Apple and Samsung in terms of being the world's most popular smartphone, with their flagship smartphone being the Galaxy S4 for Samsung, and the iPhone 4, 5, coming up 6 at some point or another with Apple. And we think of innovation leader. If we were to kind of rewind about 5-6 years, we would think of Apple as the definitive innovation leader. Even if we rewind 2 or 3, 4 years, we think of Apple as the innovation leader in terms of new features, services, new technology incorporated into the iPhone with each release of an iPhone. So it being a unique product and kind of a new product, and slightly different, or even in terms of disruptive innovations with the iPad and some of the other products that they rolled out being disruptive to current marketplaces. So we thought of Apple as the innovation leader. And so there were many companies that try to position themselves as innovation leaders as well, and they would try to go toe-to-toe in a competitive battle with Apple and try to release a competing product as a innovation leader, something new and entirely different, and entirely different platforms and setups and settings and the way we do things. We can think of the MP3 players and the Microsoft Zune. We can think of other competing products that were supposed to be more innovative or entirely different from the iPad replacement products, or something unique and different to compete with what Apple was doing. And they would obviously fail. They would fail miserably because Apple was already positioned as the innovation leader. So what Samsung has done very successfully, Samsung has positioned itself as an innovation follower for the last few years. And if you kind of look at the two camps, the two groups of people that, you're either an Apple person or a Samsung person in terms of, the devices that you use. And there's that heated debate, well, Samsung just copies Apple and Apple's the leader and Samsung's the follower. Well, Samsung's strategy has been to be the innovation follower, see what works out there, and what people like and the features and the service they like, and then create a product that has all of that stuff and does it really, really well, maybe a little bit better, and then maybe a little bit better, and then just try to constantly be a little bit better, follow the innovation, or even offer the same features and the same or similar product and make it a little bit cheaper, slightly cheaper. So they've tried to be an innovation follower for many years now. That has benefited them because now they've positioned themselves as the direct competitor with Apple. And you'll notice in the last year and a half, and especially now with the current battle with the latest version of the iPhone and the Samsung Galaxy S4, Samsung is trying to move out from the shadow of Apple and become known as an innovation leader. They're offering the same or similar products and services and features, but they're offering extra. And again, trying to say, well, we're a little bit better, and offer things that the Apple doesn't. In fact, you see it in their commercials. You can go watch some of the Samsung Galaxy S4 commercials and kind of the series of advertisements that took place right before the launch of the latest phone. And they were really focusing on showing everyone that, hey, our phones can do this, the iPhone can't. And so they're trying to move from innovation follower to innovation leader. So it's been a very interesting competition, kind of dynamic to watch over the years, that battle, and watch Samsung's strategy to come in as an innovation follower, and then over a short period of time you kind of get a name and a reputation for a certain level of quality and service and features, and then very quickly try to come around the leader and become known as the innovation leader. And if you look back to their history, it's been a very similar strategy over the years. If you think, years and years and years back to when Samsung was first becoming a household name, and Samsung was the kind of the knockoff or the cheap brand of VCR, or the bottom shelf, the low brand, the unknown name version of the TV, or whatever the electronics there were at the time. Samsung was kind of the bottom end, or kind of seen as the bottom end of that. Now, in terms of technology, Samsung has become kind of one of the market leaders, one of the innovation leaders in technology, TVs, laptops, smartphones, tablets, those types of things. They've really positioned themselves as one of the front runners in technology, some of the one of the top technology companies in the world. So it's been a very interesting dynamic to watch that strategy play out. Another example is what we think of innovation leader, innovation follower. We think of Amazon, their Kindle products, in terms of how it was positioned to supplement their existing business model. So by offering, by creating a product such as the Kindle Fire, and even the early version of the Kindle products, the ones that are still available now with the electronic ink, the e-ink versions. Really, the idea behind that was not so much to make money and produce a profitable subdivision, but instead create a product that, if it made a little money, great, when we sold the Kindle, or if it made a little bit of profit, great, but more importantly, get one of those devices in the hands of all of our customers so that it facilitates the purchase of all of the products that we sell on Amazon. The people that have Kindle devices can purchase anything they want from Amazon. Books, obviously, with the older versions of the Kindles, and the new ones, anything. You can shop on Amazon.com directly from your Kindle, and with a one-click make purchases. So it's really been innovation for the sake of supplementing their existing business model. Another example is actually a really interesting case in your text, case 11.2 with Skype. We know, again, if we think back to years ago, Skype was a disruptive technology in terms of allowing people to communicate via video chat and directly webcam and without obviously kind of bypassing the traditional, what we think of as traditional telephone lines and that kind of thing, an entirely different way of communicating. And so being a disruptive technology there. And then now, and so being innovation leader, kind of a leader in innovation with Skype. But now you have, again, a large number of innovation followers in that particular realm in terms of the video chat and whatnot. A lot of innovation followers. Uvu is one. Google Talk. Is it Google Talk or Google? Yeah, Google Talk. And the whole Google Plus, the live chat and everything else, and the whole Google universe, and allowing you and your friends to Google Hangouts and all of those to audio chat, video chat, and all that stuff in real time. So a lot of innovation followers that, because of the disruptive technology of what Skype was able to introduce, now there's a lot of competitors out there doing the same thing. There's a significant number of video chat tools out there available. So when we think of capturing the benefit, we obviously have to consider what's going to be the market positioning. Are we an innovation leader, innovation follower? Because that will affect how we capture benefit from this particular innovation. One of the things that becomes a kind of a perk or a plus side of innovation, and we start thinking about capturing those benefits, is we have the chance to expand our core competencies. We have the chance to not only continue to do what we do really well, but when we start thinking about innovation, this might be an opportunity for us to, if we figure out how to do something innovative in our processes or our products, we have the chance to expand what we're good at. We think of our little circle, our little bubble within our organization of what we do and do well. We're able to kind of expand that a little bit and grow in terms of what we are good at. Grow our base, so to speak. And when we start talking about expanding our core competencies, the first thing that comes into the picture is what we refer to as knowledge management. How do we And knowledge management is a kind of a growing buzzword in the business, the private sector, and in business, because we're realizing more and more and more that organizations have access to significant amounts of data and significant amounts of information. The struggle with organizations, the struggle with most companies is being able to appropriately take that information, collect it, analyze it, or bring it together, aggregate it, collect it, analyze it in a way that tells a story or paints a picture which allows the organization to make better decisions. Even if you think about your own company, your own organization, just in terms of, customer records and purchase history and, supplier records, supplier history, invoices, the information that we have available to us with most organizations is just huge. It's astronomical. Take something like a university here at USW. If you think of all of the students that have been part of USW, the employees, the personnel, the vendors, the different groups involved in the university, we just have mountains and mountains of information. I mean, with the tools, with the technology tools we have available to us today, think about what could take place if you were to have all of that information from your customers, in the case of a university, your students, and you were to have all that information in the right place, in the right software, and conducting the appropriate analysis to paint a picture of the type of student, the demographic, the information about the ideal student for USW. And you could even take it a step further and say, okay, what is that? Let's paint a picture of our kind of typical or ideal MBA student. We might be able to say, well, our typical MBA student might be 35 years old, married with 2 kids, a dog, 5 cats, and live in this part of the world with this median income range, and the typical time that it takes for an MBA student to complete their program is this, the average GPA is that. I mean, just paint a picture of the type of student that comes to the MBA program. We could do that for this, for any program, and then well, should we make any changes to how we market to those students? Should we make any changes to how we deliver the courses to those students? What are they interested in? What happens when they finish their MBA? All those different things. That's a significant amount of information that can be, and you'll see here under knowledge management, that can be obviously generated and acquired. Over time, all companies have access to that same type of information. You have customers, you have employees, you have vendors, suppliers, whatnot. To have that information in the right place and conducting the right analysis on that information, we can generate and acquire new knowledge. Now, when we say knowledge, it's slightly different than just data and information, and I'll go through that in a second. But knowledge management basically is when we generate and acquire new knowledge, we identify and code that knowledge, we store it, we share it, and then ultimately the goal is to exploit that knowledge across processes, products, and services. In other words, build what we know into our products and services. If we know that the average time that it takes for an MBA student to complete their MBA is 12 months, 14 months, 18 months, and the needs of these students is to complete it in 10 months or 12 months, or they prefer to complete it in 18 months, who knows? We can make adjustments to products and services and process that reflect that, and ultimately you end up with processes, products, and services that make your customers even more happy, that meet their needs better, that maybe you exploit that knowledge to identify a way that you can meet a need of an entirely different group that you weren't addressing before. So ultimately, the goal of what we do in knowledge management is we think we want the right people to have access to the right information at the right time to make the right decisions about, what our organization should do, what changes should we make, what innovations should we pursue. And so capturing value from the innovation, yes, we're going to capture value by enhanced revenue, obviously, but there's so much more to it than that. When we implement this new innovation, and hopefully it helps us learn something else that continues to improve, and we kind of call this emergent design or continuous improvement. You might have heard the term or the phrase before, continuous improvement. That's essentially what we're talking about. If you think about kind of a circle, a feedback loop, and you're innovating, you're implementing, you're collecting information from what you just did, the change you made, and you're re-implementing that back into what you're about to do the next time. And it's this kind of constant loop of getting better and better and better, and we think of that as continuous improvement. Or we also refer to these new processes and services that come out as emergent design. In other words, we find better ways to do things, new ways, better ways to do things tend to emerge from what we learn. We cannot do this. We can't capture those benefits for the organization if we don't have some type of knowledge management system or process in place to actually learn from what we've done in the past and what we're doing. You'll find that the growth in, you've probably heard of data analytics and data scientists, but this idea that organizations can become much more efficient, much more profitable, better functioning if they appropriately use the technology and the knowledge and the information that is available to them. And there's kind of the saying in the private sector that pretty soon there are just better ways of doing things. Data analytics is completely changing the way we make decisions in business and out there in the real world. We have information now available to us that we didn't have before. With technology, we store information, we keep information, we can analyze information in ways that we couldn't do that before. And that's going to continue to drive decision making in the future. So this whole new field of people that work as data scientists, who are basically business people with some computer technology knowledge, that are kind of a hybrid between statisticians and economists and business people and some computer folks. You kind of merge those people together and you have what we call data scientists. In other words, people that can take information that's available in databases and out there on the web and everything else, pull all that stuff together in a way to analyze it, to identify new needs for new products, services, processes, that kind of thing. And it's a growing field, and there's not some specific training for it. It's just a matter of understanding that we have access to all this information. How do we use it in a way to make more informed decisions, better decisions, and innovate? So, what really is knowledge management? We think of, like I said earlier, we have data. All organizations have data. They have records, bits and pieces of information all over the place. We have databases of our customers and information about our customers, where we send what they've kind of bought, maybe where we send the products or services that we sell them. We can take those pieces of those pieces of data, those data points, you know, an invoice over here to Joe Smith, a payment information over here from Katie Turner and or whomever, and we put all this stuff together into kind of an aggregated format, and we start referring to it as information. So now we kind of move up the scale. When all these little data points are out there available all over the place, but they're not brought together in a way that makes sense, so the goal is to take these data points, these individual pieces of data that we have throughout the organization, aggregate them into usable information, which eventually becomes knowledge. Knowledge is that the benefit, the value that we gain from innovation and change and whatnot. So knowledge is the kind of the tangible, the valuable asset that we can use within the organization to get better and improve and kind of focus on that continuous improvement and whatnot. And really there's kind of two types of knowledge. We commonly refer to as knowledge within the organization, either as kind of that explicit knowledge that we can capture the benefit from, or implicit. Now, this applies to think about how we learn, kind of the different types, two types of learning, how we learn as an organization or within the organization. Our people learn, and then therefore the organization becomes better. There's kind of two ways of doing that. There's the explicit learning, explicit knowledge, and the implicit. We can either simply rely on the analytics. In other words, what does the information tell us? What does it tell us about how to make process improvements and changes to our product and service? And rely on that, just simply the analytics, the aggregated data, the information put together into knowledge, and make decisions based on the analytics. And there's also the implicit, which is more of like apprenticeship. So you think about it, just a good example is looking at a university versus on-the-job training. Formal education versus on-the-job training. Think of formal education like your MBA, your college degrees, as kind of the explicit thing, the analytics type of knowledge. The theory, the learning through that explicit methodology. And on-the-job training or some type of apprenticeship or mentorship being that implicit type of learning, implicit knowledge. And the first couple of weeks or days on the job when you're doing your training, learning the ins and outs of the organization, how it all works. And so there's really two ways of looking at that at that knowledge and in terms of applying it within the organization. We do know that knowledge that we gain from this, the benefit that we capture, it's only practically applicable through the members of the organization. The organization itself, the entity itself, doesn't learn. I mean, it's the people within the organization, the job categories, the skill sets within the organization that learn and grow and then benefit from the knowledge. Knowledge can be there. Obviously, there's a difference between codified and diffused. I mean, what's internal to the organization and codified and retrievable, and what's diffused, kind of industry standards, what the entire industry, how it does things. And there's really two approaches. We can take two approaches to how we manage knowledge. We can either look at, or a combination of the two, but we can either kind of look at some type of IT investment, investing in some type of technology infrastructure that helps us collect, store, analyze, retrieve, and use information. Or we can focus primarily on the people and the processes and again, going back to the analytics approach versus apprenticeship, the formal data management, knowledge management versus apprenticeship, on-the-job training. Or we can kind of use a combination of these. But the key is to make sure that we appropriately manage manage knowledge in a way that allows us to kind of continue to perpetuate change and innovation. So speaking of perpetuating change, we use knowledge as a tool for innovation and change. We often find that innovation and change kind of go hand in hand. We know that if we're going to use knowledge as a tool for innovation, we can simply refer to our innovation strategy map that we looked at on the first slide and we've constantly gone back to throughout the course. We know that the first box on that strategy map is searching out opportunities. We look at discovery. We call it discovery if we're kind of analyzing information, looking for opportunities, looking for patterns in the data, looking for ways to be innovative simply by using knowledge and data. And then we know that we select the opportunity and implement. We refer to that as realization, within the organization, kind of realizing what those opportunities are, what the innovations are, and implementing. And then lastly, nurturing the knowledge and continue to let it grow helps us to capture the benefit. So we know we can use knowledge as a tool, a supplemental tool or a tool on its own for innovation, but we can also use knowledge as a tool for change, because kind of one of the challenges that we almost always associate with innovation is the challenges that come with change. Anytime we have a new venture or a new initiative, it's going to result in some type of change, some type of organizational change, some type of process change, service change. We know that innovation and new ideas and new concepts are going to result in change. Well, the challenges that come with change include, we're going to get resistance. We're going to get resistance to any type of change initiative from personal factors. The folks within the organization are going to have personal issues, personal factors that force them to or cause them to resist the change. Maybe it affects their budgets or financial or their time that they have to spend, or learning new things. They don't, or maybe personality conflicts, whatever it might be. We're going to have personal factors that create resistance to change. Organizational factors, the way the organization's structured, culture, things that have been done for a certain way for so long, we don't want to change those. And then lastly, the factors specifically related to the change itself. All of these three things together will bring about resistance to whatever it is we're trying to modify or change or innovate. The innovative organizations are those that are able to successfully navigate change and make it through these kind of turbulent waters as the change is taking place. So if we plan to use knowledge as a tool for these things, or if we plan to be innovative, we've got to be able to systematically address those issues. Some common challenges as we try to kind of wrap up, as we try to capture that benefit and actually finalize the change and lock in the long-term benefits of the innovation. Some common challenges with change. We know that 70% of all change initiatives fail. And by fail, we mean, aren't near as successful as they should have been. Things didn't go through. They cost more than they should have. They took longer than they should have. Or they didn't turn out the way we wanted them to. So a big percentage of change initiatives fail. They don't work out. And we also know that there's, a lot of the key players for these types of changes, they're not effective at making a business case for change. We've talked in the previous units about how important it is to make the case for innovation. And since change and innovation go hand in hand, we've got to make the case to do things differently. 25% of change initiatives kind of launch without any formal structure. We don't formally put together a structure to facilitate the change. And interestingly enough, people do resist being controlled more than they resist change. So if the change allows some level of freedom and autonomy, we might be more successful. And there's a big difference between announcing change and managing change. Managing change is a very tedious, time-consuming, and a very active, or I should say interactive process. Helping people understand the case to make change, very important. It's rather than simply announcing something, managing it is a much more involved process. Finally, just a few more change issues. And again, the focus of this was to understand what we're trying to do is trying to capture the benefit. Well, we can't capture the benefit of the innovation without successfully navigating this change that's going on. And so we can kind of look here and see people, pretty much all of our change, all of these innovative processes and projects that we're focusing on are going to involve change. They're going to involve people. So anytime you're dealing with people within your organization, these are some of the change issues that we're going to come across. And you'll see that the top two are changing mindsets and attitudes and corporate culture. And those two go hand in hand. So the most common challenges, significant challenges when we're faced with being innovative and change-oriented, the most common challenges are going to come from our people. They're going to come from our culture and the folks, the mindsets, the attitudes that we've always done things a certain way, and why are we doing this differently? People are kind of afraid of that, and really helping make the case for change and helping people, everyone understand where they fit into this new system of doing things is crucial. Otherwise, again, we cannot successfully capture the benefit of the innovation that we're pursuing. And that's the goal. We want that final piece of our innovation strategy to be to capture the benefit of the innovation. And to do that, we have to address these change issues.